Hi guys, so I'm gonna work through real quick the worksheet for week 8. So number 1, which of the following is a metric unit? So for your exam, you're gonna have to know the difference between metric and household. So a ounce is household, a pound is household, kilogram is metric, and tablespoon is household. So you're gonna have to memorize household versus metric, so make sure that you know those. And number 2, the nurse is preparing to administer lorazepam 0.06 milligrams per kilogram IM to a patient who weighs 152 pounds and 6 ounces. Available is lorazepam 2 milligrams per ml. If you see 2 milligrams per ml, this means 1 ml. So how many ml should the nurse administer? We're gonna round our answer to the nearest 10th. So first thing we have to do, because we need kilograms, is to change our pounds to kilograms. So our patient weighs 152 pounds and 6 ounces. This is not 152.6. So we have to take ounces, 6 ounces, and convert that first to pounds. So we know that there is 16 ounces in a pound. So we take 6 divided by 16, and we have 0.375. So 6 ounces is 0.375 pounds. So then we want to add that to 152. So 0.375 plus 152. So our patient weighs 152.375 pounds. To get that to kilograms, we're going to divide by 2.2. So divide by 2.2, and our patient weighs 69.26 kilograms. Now we know that our order is for 0.06 milligrams per kilogram, and we have 69.26 kilograms. So we're going to need to multiply 0.06 times 69.26 to find out how many milligrams our patient needs. So we multiply those, so we have 69.26 times 0.06, and that is going to give us 4.155 milligrams. So that's our order. Now we have available lorazepam 2 milligrams per ml. So we're going to write what we have available, 2 milligrams in 1 ml, and we need 4.155 milligrams. We need to know how many mLs that is, so it's x mLs. And then we're going to cross multiply. So we have 2 times x equals 4.155 times 1, which is 4.155. Divide each side by 2, so you get x by itself. So we have 4.155 divided by 2. So 2, and we're going to round to the nearest 10th. So I know some of you are having issues with rounding. So because this is a 7 next to it, we're going to take our 0 up to a 1. It's going to round up, so it's going to be 2.1. So we are going to give 2.1 mLs. Okay, our next one. A nurse is preparing to administer vancomycin 400 milligrams PO. Available is vancomycin oral suspension 150 milligrams in 4 mLs. How many mLs should the nurse administer? And this time we're going to round to the nearest whole number. So we write what we have available, 150 milligrams in 4 mLs. And what we need is 400 milligrams, and we need to know how many mLs that is. So we put x mLs. Set up our same conversion table, and we're going to cross multiply. So we have 150x equals 400 times 4. So we'll do 400 times 4, 1600. We want to get x by itself, so we divide each side by 150. So we have 1600 divided by 150. And our question wants us to round to the nearest whole number. Because this is greater than 5, so if anything 5 and up, you're going to round up. So it's going to be 11. So our answer is 11 mLs. Okay, a nurse is preparing to administer phenytoin 4 milligrams per kilogram per day, PO, divided in equal doses every 8 hours to a patient who weighs 98 pounds, 9 ounces. Available is phenytoin elixir 30 milligrams in 5 mLs. The nurse should administer how many mLs per dose? Pay attention to if it's per dose or per day, because we're going to be administering 4 milligrams per kilogram per day divided in equal doses every 8 hours. So pay close attention to the wording, because I think that's where a lot of you went wrong. So we're going to start with our weight. So our patient weighs 98 pounds, 9 ounces. So we're going to find out how many pounds is 9 ounces. So we do 9 divided by 16. And then we're going to add that to our 98 pounds. So plus 98. Okay, so our patient weighs 98.56 pounds, but we need to get that to kilograms. So we're going to divide by 2.2. Divide by 2.2. And our patient weighs 44.8 kilograms. Now I know I need 4 milligrams per kilogram. So we're going to multiply these. 4 times 44.8. So 44.8 times 4. So we have 179.2 milligrams. But we want to continue on writing what we have here. It's still per day. So keep writing that as you go so you don't get confused. So we're going to administer 179.2 milligrams per day. So let's figure out how many mLs that is first. We have available 30 milligrams in 5 mLs. 30 milligrams in 5 mLs. And we need to give 179.2 milligrams. And we need to know how many mLs that is. So we put X mLs. Again, we cross multiply. So 30X. And then we multiply 5 times 179.2. So I have 179.2 times 5 is 896. Divide each side by 30 to get X by itself. Divide by 30. So we're going to give 29.86 mLs. Still continue with what we have going on here. We're still talking about per day. So we're going to give 29.86 mLs per day. But we need to know how many per dose, and we're going to give it every 8 hours. Every 8 hours is 3 times a day. And if you're not sure how many times a day, you just do whatever the number is divided by 24. Sorry, 24 divided by whatever, how many hours you have. So that is going to come out to equal 3. If it's every 6 hours, you can do 24 hours in a day over 6. That's going to give you 4. If it's every 4 hours, you could do 24 hours in the day over 4. But we're ordered every 8 hours. So just to show you, 24 over 8 is going to be 3 times a day. So we're going to take this number. We want to divide by 3 because we need to know how many we're going to give per dose, and we're giving it 3 times. So we take this number, 29.86, and divide it by 3. And our question wants us to round to the nearest whole number. So 9.9 is going to be, round to the nearest whole number is 10. So we're going to give 10 mLs now per dose, not per day anymore. Okay, number 5. A nurse is preparing to administer heparin 80 units per kilogram IV bolus to a patient who weighs 62 kilograms. Available is heparin 5,000 units per ml. Remember, this means 1 ml. How many ml should the nurse administer? And we're going to round to the nearest whole number. So we need 80 units per kilogram, and our patient weighs 62 kilograms. So we don't have to convert pounds to kilograms here. So we need 80 units per every kilogram. So we're going to multiply 80 times 62. So our order is for 4,960 units. And it doesn't say per day or anything like that. It's just an IV bolus. So what we have available is 5,000 units in 1 ml. And we need 4,960 units in X. We need to know how many. Cross multiply. So 5,000X and 4,960 times 1 is 4,960. Divide each side by 5,000. So we take 4,960, divide by 5,000, 0.99. It wants us to go to the nearest whole number, so that's 1. So we're gonna give 1 ml. All right, a nurse is caring for a patient who weighs 12 pounds, 11 ounces. How much does the patient weigh in kilograms? We're gonna round to the nearest 10th. So remember, it's not 12.11. We're gonna find out how many pounds is 11 ounces. So we do 11 divided by 16 is 0.6875, and then we're gonna add that to 12, so plus 12.
Did you clear the previous problem? Did you clear it? Okay. Sorry.
You're fine. So we have 12.68 pounds, and we're going to divide that by 2.2 to get to kilograms. And this little patient weighs 5.767. We round to the nearest 10th. So this is 10th, 100th, 1,000th. So we're gonna round to this number. So we look at the number next to it. If it's over 5, we round up. So this is, our answer is 5.8 kilograms. All right, a nurse is preparing to administer this long medication, 0.05 milligrams IM to a patient. Available is this long medication, 100 micrograms per ml. How many ml should the nurse administer? Round to the nearest 10th. Okay, so we want to notice that our order is in milligrams. What we have available is in micrograms. So we want to convert our milligrams to micrograms. So we have kilograms, grams, milligrams, micrograms. So we are going from milligrams to micrograms. So we're heading this way. So you can either move the decimal space over 3 times or you can multiply by 1,000. So we have 0.05 milligrams. We're gonna move this decimal over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So we have 50 micrograms. 1, 2, 3. That's how much we want to give. What we have available is 100 micrograms in 1 ml. And we need to know how many mLs are in 50 micrograms. So we're going to cross multiply. We have 100x equals 50 times 1 is 50. Divide each side by 100. And 50 divided by 100 is 0.5 mLs. Okay. The nurse is preparing to administer 3 tablespoons of acetaminophen to a patient. How many mL should the nurse administer? Round to the nearest whole number. So each tablespoon, if you're not sure how to set this up, write down what you know. So we know that 1 tablespoon is 15 mLs. And we have 3 tablespoons, and we need to know how many mLs that is. We cross multiply. So we have x equals 15 times 3. 15 times 3, 45 mLs. A nurse is preparing to administer ibuprofen, 10 ml oral solution to a pediatric patient. How many teaspoons should the nurse administer? Round to the nearest whole number. Again, if you're not sure, set up what you know. So we know that 1 teaspoon is 5 mLs, and we need to give 10 mLs. How many teaspoons is that? Remember, whenever you're setting up your conversion tables, as long as the units are on the same side, you'll be good. It doesn't matter teaspoons, mLs, which is on top, X or whatever. As long as teaspoons on the same side and mLs are on the same side, it'll come out right every time. So we'll cross multiply, and we have 5x equals 10 times 1, which is 10. Get x by itself. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. So we're going to give 2 mLs. Sorry, 2 teaspoons. Because that's what we're looking for. We're going to give 2 teaspoons. Okay, a nurse is preparing to administer diazepam 40 micrograms per kilogram to a patient prior to surgery to a patient who weighs 212 pounds, 2 ounces. Available is diazepam injection, 10 milligrams in 2 mLs. How many mL should the nurse administer? And we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So first we need to do our weight. So 2 ounces, let's see how many pounds that is. So we do 2 divided by 16.125, and then we're going to add that to our 212. So our patient weighs 212.125 pounds. Divide that by 2.2. And they weigh 96.42 kilograms. Now we need 40 micrograms per kilogram, so we multiply it. 40 times 96.42, so 96.42 times 40. So we have 3,856.8 micrograms. And what we have available is in milligrams. So now we need to convert this to milligrams. Remember, kilograms and then grams, milligrams, micrograms. So we're going from micrograms to milligrams this time. So we're going to move this way. So we're going to divide by 1,000, or just move your decimal place over to the left 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3.856 milligrams. All right, so now we set up our conversion table. So we have 10 milligrams in 2 mLs. That's what we have available. And we want 3.856 milligrams, and we need to know how many mLs that is. So we cross multiply. So we have 10x equals 3.856 times 2. 3.856 times 2, 7.712. Divide each side by 10 to get x by itself. So we have 0.7712 mLs. It wants us to round to the nearest tenth. So this is our 10th place. We look next to it, that's a 7, which is greater than 5, so we round up. So our answer is 0.8 mLs. A nurse is preparing to administer piperacillin tazobactam 3.375 grams. The nurse reconstitute a 5-gram vial with normal saline to yield a final concentration of 500 milligrams per ml. How many mLs should the nurse administer? And we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So these reconstitution questions sound confusing because it's talking about the 5-gram vial. You don't need to know that. All you need to know is your final concentration. These were tripping a lot of you up because they sound wordy. Just focus on the final concentration. This is telling you what you have available. So first we need to change, we have milligrams available. Our order is in grams. So we need to change the 3.375 grams to milligrams. If we look up here, grams to milligrams, we're going this way. So we're going to multiply by 1,000, or just move your decimal place over 3 times this way. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3,375 milligrams as our order. So we set up our table using our final concentration here. So we have 500 milligrams in 1 ml, and we're gonna use 3,375 milligrams is x mLs. Cross multiply, we have 500x equals, this times 1 is just itself. Get x by itself. So we have 3,375 divided by 500. 6.75 mLs is how much we're going to give. Oh, round to the nearest tenth, sorry. So this is gonna, the 5 is gonna make it round up. So we're giving 6.8. A nurse is preparing to administer zolpidem 10 milligrams PO at bedtime. Available is zolpidem 5 milligrams per tablet. How many tablets will the nurse administer? And we're gonna round to the nearest whole number. So maybe you could look at this and just think, well, they come in 5s and we need 10, so we'll take 2. But if you're not sure, if you want to, double check yourself, then you just set up your table. So we have 5 milligrams in 1 tablet, and we need 10 milligrams. We want to know how many tablets that is. Cross multiply, so 5x equals 10 times 1, which is 10. Divide each side by 5 to get x by itself. And 10 over 5 is 2, so 2 tablets. Last ones. Okay, a nurse is preparing to administer hydrocodone 15 milligrams PO every 6 hours, PRN for pain. Available is hydrocodone 10 milligrams per 5 mLs. What is the maximum amount in mLs the nurse could administer per day? Round to the nearest whole number. This is one where you want to pay close attention because it's asking the maximum amount per day. And we can give it every 6 hours. So first let's find out how much is in one dose. So 15 milligrams, we want to know how many mLs is that. That's for one dose. So we have available 10 milligrams in 5 mLs. And we want to know how many mLs is in 15 milligrams. Cross multiply, so 10 times x, and then 15 times 5 is 75, divide by 10. 75 divided by 10 is 7.5 mLs. This is per dose. We're gonna give this every 6 hours. So remember, if we're not sure how many times a day that is, you can do 24 hours in a day over 6 hours, or however many hours. So 24 divided by 6 is 4. So we're giving this 4 times a day. So we're gonna, if we wanna know the maximum amount of mLs per day, we're gonna take 7.5 times 4. 7.5 times 4, and we can give a max of 30 mLs per day. Okay. A nurse is preparing to administer pantoprazole 20 milligrams IV. Available is pantoprazole 40 milligrams in 10 mLs. How many mLs should the nurse administer? And we are going to round to the nearest whole number. And this is a simple, just easy conversion factor. So 40 milligrams, we're setting up what we have available in 10 mLs. And we need 20 milligrams is how many mLs? Cross multiply, 40x equals 20 times 10. I don't trust even my simplest math, so I just always check. 200. Divide each side by 40. And 200 divided by 40 is 5 mLs. All right, last one. I made this one to involve everything. So the nurse is preparing to administer bupivacaine 25 micrograms per kilogram per minute. If you see per minute, pay special attention. The patient weighs 167 pounds, 7 ounces. Available is bupivacaine 5 milligrams in 2 mLs. How many mLs per hour would the nurse administer? And we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So first, as always, we're going to change our pounds to kilograms. So 167 pounds, 7 ounces. We want to know how many pounds 7 ounces is. So do 7 divided by 16. And then we're going to add that to our whole number, our 167. So our patient weighs 167.4375 pounds. Divide that by 2.2 to get kilograms. Divide by 2.2. So our patient weighs 76.1 kilograms. Now we need 25 micrograms per kilogram. So we need to multiply this. So we take this number and we multiply it by 25. So 76.1 times 25. So now we have 1,902.7 micrograms. Now, per minute. Now we need to change these micrograms to milligrams because what we have available is in milligrams. So we have kilograms, grams, milligrams, micrograms. We are going from micrograms to milligrams, so we're moving this away. So we're gonna move our decimal place over to the left 3 times, or divide by 1,000. So 1, 2, 3. Right, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So we have 1.9 milligrams per minute. Keep writing that per minute so that you don't forget at the end. If we want to go ahead and change this now, because we need to know how many per hour. And right now we have per minute. So since there's 60 minutes in an hour, we're going to take the 1.9 milligrams times 60. 1.9 milligrams times 60. So now we know our order is 114 milligrams. We're now in hours per hour. So all we have left to do is to figure out how many mLs that is. So we'll set up our table. So we have 5 milligrams in 2 mLs. And we need 114 milligrams in X mLs. Cross multiply, so we have 5X equals 114 times 2. So we have 114 times 2 equals 228. Get X by itself. So 228 divided by 5. So we have 45.6 mLs. And we want to round to the nearest tenth. We're already in tenths. So that's our answer, 45.6 mLs. And remember, if you want to wait and convert micrograms to milligrams at the end, you can. If you want to do minutes to hours at the end, you can. It all gets you to the same place. You just have to make sure you're hitting every single step, and you'll get the right answer. Thanks, guys.